Alrighty, welcome everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. Well, thanks for making it out tonight on a beautiful July evening. I know the weather is great, so hope you'll stick around afterwards to come to Dominic's with us, get some free pizza, and grab some drinks. So I'm David Nesbitt, and I'm your host tonight for A2NewTech meetup. I'm hosting in place of Brian Kelly this month. So it's really an honor to be a part of this because this meetup's been really important for me, just getting connected with people in the community, connecting with, actually it was the first place I heard about my current employer, Spellbound, was at this meetup, hearing Christina, our CEO, pitch. And I've just met tons of people in the community, the tech community here, over the years at the A2NewTech meetup. So glad you're joining us tonight. Since 2009, we've had 100 plus meetups for this group, which is pretty amazing. 300 plus companies, and we have 6,600 plus members right now in the meetup group. And so really powerful to have that much of a network and people involved who know about what's happening here every month. Last year we did 60 pitches, and we do this every month on the third Tuesday of the month. So come back in August, we'll have a whole new set of companies in September, etc. So I'd like to start out with just a question to kind of get a sense of who's here. This is always fun to do. Who's the first time that they've been here at A2NewTech? Raise a hand. Cool, a lot of the group, about a third, something like that. That's pretty typical. Usually a third to half are new every week. Who's been up before? The other half of the room? So a lot of people here, back for the second or third or more times. Who is here who's hiring for a position? Maybe not tonight exactly, but who's hiring right now? A couple in the audience. Take a look if you're looking for a position. And then, awesome. Who's looking for a position? Okay, so we got a couple people. So hopefully we can connect some of those for the end of the evening. So why is this meetup important? Why is it important that we do this every month? One of the things I've learned in my 10 years in Ann Arbor is that there are a ton of people in Ann Arbor who are hatching ideas and developing ideas for new technology and new startups in Ann Arbor. And it is really tough to know everyone who's out there and what they're working on and to stay connected with them over time. And so this meetup is a really important space for us to come together, to meet each other, see the faces that we know in the community here, meet other people who are building and shaping the future of tech in Ann Arbor. You look around, those are a lot of the people that are doing that on a day-to-day basis, and you never know who you're going to bump into here that's going to shape the next few years for you. It could be a collaborator or someone you work with or a co-founder even. And it's also important because we get to eat some free pizza at Dominic's afterwards, which never hurts, courtesy of Ann Arbor Spark. So a couple of things before we get into the pitches. We do have a Slack channel at madein.a2.com/Slack. So in there you'll find some general announcements from tech folks in the community, open jobs, and more. So make sure to join that Slack channel if you're not there already. And I also want to say thank you to a number of people and groups who make this event possible. So one of those is the Entrepreneurship Clinic at U of M Law School. Dana Thompson's the founding member and director of Michigan's Law's Entrepreneurship Clinic, where you can get help with legal. A2 Geeks is a nonprofit dedicated to making southeastern Michigan and Ann Arbor a great place for geeks, not Greeks, geeks and creatives to live, work, and play. So that's A2 Geeks. Roger Rayle from R2 Vive is here filming this week. Thank you, Roger. Let's give him a round of applause. So for video work, every month Roger films this A2NewTech meetup. So if you miss it, you can check it out on YouTube. The link is always on our meetup page for the next month. You can go back and see last month's recording. So we appreciate Roger doing that. If you want to hire him for this kind of work or any other video work, look up R2 Vive. And we also have some organizers of this group that over the years have put in a lot of work to make this happen. Doug Song, Zach Steinler, Scott Gosey, David Bloom, David Corcoran, Brian Kelly, Brooke Boyle, and more. So these organizers have helped make this event happen and curate the great companies that you see in front of you every month. And lastly, Ann Arbor Spark, who is bringing us our pizza tonight. They're committed to bringing together organizations and individuals to support the growth of companies and the creation of jobs here in southeastern Michigan. So they're kind enough to make that donation for our group. So like I said, Ann Arbor NewTech is always the third Tuesday of the month. Next month, we have already a full slate of presenters because we have Desai Accelerator is taking over the meetup for the month. So come back next month to see those Desai companies. A couple of them are in attendance tonight to see them pitch. But if you know someone who should pitch for the September meetup or beyond, or if you have an idea you'd like to pitch, please email us at organizers@a2newtech.org. And we'd love to hear that. The criteria generally for who we have pitch at this event is that you've done some customer validation, spoke with some prospective customers ideally, and hopefully you've at least built a prototype of your idea. That can be really easy to at least build a basic prototype and get your idea across. So that's generally what we look for presenters. So our agenda tonight, we're going to run until about 8 p.m. and we'll have 5 companies doing a 5-minute pitch each and a 5-minute Q&A afterwards. And then we'll have the community announcements time. So think about your announcement if you have an event, a job that you're looking for or that you're hiring for, or anything else you want to pitch. You can do a 2-minute announcement in that time during community announcements. Last thing I'll say about the pitches, if you do have a question you want to ask one of these companies who's pitching, raise your hand and we'll call on you during that time, in the time after each individual pitch. And it's always tempting to give feedback. It's exciting to hear these new pitches and the new ideas. You might have some experience in that area, but try to put your question really in the form of a question and not to give just feedback or ideas. Give them something to respond to and ask them something about the company they can respond to. So for music recommendations, Brian has always done his podcasts, but at this time of the meetup, I want to take a second to do a music recommendation because that's really my love language, although I do like podcasts too. So this month's music recommendation to check out is Dermot Kennedy. So D-E-R-M-O-T Kennedy. So Dermot Kennedy is an Irish singer-songwriter, and he has acoustic and electronic elements. So I think of it a little bit like Ed Sheeran with an edge. Like a little bit of like an edge, a rock edge, something like that. Before he got really produced and like top 40ified, so like Ed Sheeran before that. And kind of a voice and soulfulness that sounds similar to Marcus Mumford from Mumford & Sons. So if you have any Mumford & Sons fans in the audience too, you might enjoy that. The song that I've come back to multiple times by Dermot Kennedy is Young and Free. So who's going to check out the music recommendation this month? Okay, that's what I like to see. Last month at networking, someone came up to me and brought up the song, and I was like, "You are listening well. You sir get extra points." Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of our announcements, the beginning. So we're going to jump right into our pitches. So again, a 5-minute pitch for each company, 5-minute Q&A. So make sure to be writing down some questions, thinking up some questions. And we've got a great lineup. Our first presenter tonight is Flo Noel from Dear Black Women. Welcome. And so Dear Black Women is an affirmation movement and social network for black women. And a couple interesting facts about them. Flo won MBA Entrepreneur of the Year at Ross for Dear Black Women, which is pretty awesome. She also mentioned that they have members that are so dedicated that a couple weeks ago in the Michigan summer heat, they had members brave 100-degree heat to do a photo shoot with them.
Damn near.
Close to yeah, okay. And so really excited to hear about this network that these users are so dedicated to. And we'll get you set up. Looks like it's working. It's take a second.
Okay, hi everyone. Hi. That was a good response. So I'm going to ask a question. Given that most people in this room are not black women, I want to take you on a journey. I want to be your guide. Will you come with me?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Good, because I wasn't going to change to the next slide. So, statistically, black women in the United States are either competing or at the worst space when it comes to receiving support, resources, and being represented. And that holds true across major areas of life, including media, politics, political power, economic earning power, family, violence, and safety. Just to personalize that and not hit you with a bunch of statistics that you may not remember, if you take a look at some of these beautiful faces of women in DBW, 80% of them will be the primary breadwinner of their family. 65% of them will be working full-time. That's the highest rate for women engagement in the full-time workforce, yet almost 40% of them will be earning at the lowest percentile. And that's just one area of life where you can appreciate the unique challenges at the intersection of race and gender. But what does that mean? This has been going on for a long time. Dear Black Women is an affirmation movement and social network for black women to be able to not only have safe spaces to process the lived experiences they have daily, but do that in community with other black women. and then use those community bonds to serve as bridges to resources, access, and opportunity that exist within the community and outside of the community. I launched Dear Black Women to target first the Black millennial women who have some exposure to college and universities. I'll explain why. That's 4.3 million Black women across the United States. As millennials, they're largely concentrated in urban hubs. As millennials, they're hyper-connected and don't get off their phones. The reason why this is the primary target to start is because they serve as great adopters that spread the word outside of that group, which is the eventual intention of Dear Black Women. Traction. So all of what's been happening to date has been organic growth. Organic growth. I've been fortunate to have over 100 customer discovery interviews. It reached a point where I lost count. We started off with our first event series, which are affirmation circles. We've grown to 19. Our first had only 5, I believe 7 women, and now we've grown to over 400 women in the Southeast Michigan area. We are engaged with women online, 4,000 of them nationally, and we have requests of over 500 women to bring circles to their area. Revenue. This is a for-profit business. I have a big theory as to why that's necessary. In January 2018, I launched our first paid event series, a party, and a regular party. And also in March 2018, I launched our first merchandise line. As a result, I've been able to bring in $4,000 worth of revenue, and through my work at the Ross School of Business, as well as the School of Information, where I'm getting 2 masters, been able to secure, as of recently, $50,000 of non-dilutive capital. As the buzz has been growing for DBW, because again, all of it has been organic, we've been able to leverage the media coverage that we've received. We're fortunate to be on the homepage of U of M to spotlight entrepreneurial ventures at the school, as well as in local media outlets such as Model D and Second Wave. We also got into the Haitian Times. That means nothing for you, but a lot for me, personally. We're also currently using an online beta community that's a beta version of what I hope we can expand into. Currently we have over 250 women involved in this online community, and a key part of this is that the community serves as a bridge to resources. Since the community's launch, there's been well over 2,000 resources shared, ranging from people needing support with applying to schools, people needing to know what kind of opportunities are available in certain job industries, and beyond. I want to talk to you a little bit about how I see DBW growing, but we don't have enough time. Just know that the vision for DBW is to be able in this next upcoming phase to get clear about how we can infuse the network with value, leveraging the support of supporters who may have the bandwidth to serve as workshop leaders, webinar leaders, etc., and starting to expand into some of the other areas where there's interest. The competitive landscape features a growing amount of initiatives towards self-care for Black women, but none of them have the focus to grow into a national community with an online and offline presence. Again, my name is Florence Noel. I'm getting a dual degree in the business school with my MBA, and also focusing on human-computer interaction and social computing at the School of Information. To date, I'm the only full-time person working on DBW, but there's a community of women who have extensive experience in Dear Black Women who are supporting, and within the Michigan network. My ask for you is to take out your phone right now. I'm nervous, but not nervous enough to let you not take out your phone. Go to dearblackwomenproject.com/supporters. If anything I've said or anything you see on the site resonates with you, this is where I want you to go. There are opportunities to indicate how you may want to support. You may know Black women in the Southeast Michigan area or beyond who would be interested in this, and more. So please sign up and indicate how you'd like to be a supporter. Thank you.
Awesome, great pitch. Questions from the audience for Flo?
Yes.
Can you talk about your customer discovery process, and like you said you had 100 in person, like were they people that you knew, or like what questions you asked, and kind of just high overview on that?
Yeah, most of them were people that I did not know at first. And the focus of the interviews were largely trying to understand what challenges that women are experiencing that they tie to their identity as a Black woman, and what are the resources that are available to them and what are the resources that are not. Trends have largely been there are very little safe spaces for women to be able to come together and actually talk about what they're going through, and then build communities that are centered around helping them in ways throughout their life, in areas of their life.
Question right here, Lauren.
I had a question about revenue stream. So
Yes.
You said a little bit about raising money through parties, and you have secured money through different entities at the university.
Yeah.
So the competition that you mentioned, most of those are media companies.
Yeah.
So do you see this as a media movement from now on, and how do you secure sponsorship then?
No, so what I wanted to talk about in phase 2 is I want to begin to introduce different revenue streams. We have paid events in the way of parties currently, but I think that there's a real desire for other events that people would be willing to pay for. Workshops that may give them some of the skill sets that they need. There's also going to be a push for me to develop a membership model that would be tiered. There would be a whole class of things available to people that would be free, so that continues to be available to Black women from all walks of life. But there are people who would be willing to pay for a membership, and so pinning down what additional value can be provided to members. Those are 2 streams, and there's more.
Question?
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more what the non-dilutive capital is coming for, or what are they paying you for?
Okay, so this is in the form of grants. With the School of Information, I've been able to win 2 entrepreneurial awards. And at the Ross School of Business, I've also been able to win 2 entrepreneurial awards. Am I doing it? Yes.
You had sort of teased that you had some theory as to why you think it's important that this is a for-profit enterprise rather than nonprofit.
Yeah.
Could you say anything more about that?
I would be happy to. I hope it's not controversial. So my background has been in the nonprofit space, largely in New York City. In the roles that I've had, most recently as a regional director for Girls Who Code, and then following that as a consultant for the Department of Education, it gave me a pretty expansive view into the nonprofit landscape in New York City, which is not like every city, but certainly has a lot of nonprofits. And I've found time and time again that nonprofits are beholden to funding that can dry up at the drop of a dime, change its focus at the drop of a dime, compromise the mission at the drop of a dime. And in my view, and what's compelled me to come to business school, is to better understand what needs to be in place for business to be sustainable and marry that with social impact. Because I think in order for you to do good work sustainably and on terms that really resonate with the customer, you need to have money to fund it. And it can't be from people who aren't on the ground or who aren't incentivized to keep funding you forever.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Shamir.
Hey, so what's the grand vision and how do you define success?
Yeah. So the grand vision for DBW would be able to have what I call circles, like we have here in major cities throughout the country and elsewhere, and have a way by which we can connect these circles online as well as offline through events that are bringing value to the women in that circle, and online through being able to connect with more resources within the communities that they're in locally, but also across circles in the country. And then securing partnerships that can take the form of funding opportunities, employment opportunities, etc., that can be able to be funneled into these various circles. Yeah.
Time for one more question.
Have you engaged at all with nonprofit groups for women, such as the Center for the Education of Women here on campus, or other groups?
Yes. Yes.
All right. We'll wrap it there. Thank you. Excellent. Our next pitch is CU, and we have Ife Guo here and Marwa say Arbor. Arbor, co-founder to present. So they were actually here in March of this year and are here back to give us an update on, was it April?
Yeah.
Okay. So April this year pitching, and they're back to give us an update on what they've worked on in the meantime. So CU is a mobile app that does meetup on demand. So it essentially allows users to join and create activities in less than 20 seconds and meet people and make friends within 1 hour. So looks like you guys are all set. Take it away.
All right, everybody. My name's Ife, and I'm the founder and developer of CU. So when I was a kid, I used to live with my parents in a big apartment complex in China. So that time, there was no smartphone, there was no iPad, even internet was very rare. So we only have a big playground. We used to play cards, keyboard, and not keyboard, like board game and all this stuff, physical stuff. So there are a lot of kids playing, and most of the time there are, but there are sometimes there were not, so I would literally go every single floor, knock my neighbor's doors, and just ask them, hey, do you have any kids in your home? I would like to play with you. and usually I can find, 10 people, like after 20 minutes, running up downstairs and knock their doors. But when I grew up, and I feel like I was more isolated and separated from other people. Especially after I moved to the US. It's not just because, just me and I see other people, my friends, coworkers, college classmates, they feel the same. So one day after work, I was sitting in my apartment. I feel bored, tired, just feel lazy. I don't want to do anything and I don't have anything to do. So my childhood memories suddenly appear in my mind. I say, hey, can I just knock my neighbor's doors and find out if they want to play or do something with me? Then I say, no, that's a daydream. You cannot do that. If I did that, maybe they will call the cops. They say, hey, this guy's disturbing peace. So I really missed that time. I missed the freedom and happiness from my childhood. So I want to recreate this moment. Now I look at my phone and say, hey, I know how to make an app, so let me make an app to try to get this experience. So I spent 2 weeks and made a prototype, and it's basically a concept model, and I walk around the campus and I show people, I say, hey, how do you like the app? And most people, not surprisingly, most people, they like the idea. They say, hey, I want to communicate with people, I want to meet new people, do something for fun instantly and nearby. So, so let me show you how this thing works right now. So here's the app. So after you open this at 0, there's privacy and all this stuff. So you have to hit agree. If you hit disagree, it will not work. So let's say it's the first time and I want to create something, coder. And let me just turn on the entire. And I'll just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in case somebody wants to steal this. Alright, so if you're a first time user, then you'll just create this one, and then you'll get a notification on whatever email you're using. So you just hit this URL link, and then it will verify, and then you go back to CU, and then hit login. So after login, it requires you just fill some stuff. So it says you need to upload the photo first. So I have photo here ready. So I just grab this, looks good. So I'll say if, because I already have one, so I just put coder here. And then select male, so I'm a tech entrepreneur. And then I like meeting new people. Okay. So then I just hit save. So there are some categories you can check around. So here's the bars, and you can check some stuff. If you like swipe, you can swipe. If you like hit, you can just hit. And so Arbor actually created an event before, so this is per event. So I can, if I like to go this place, you see the first one is what exactly it is, where it is, and who can join in, it's free or not. If I want to see who's this person, I click the name here. So I say, hey, she's an event planner, photographer, and she likes sports. I say, look, cool. So let me go back. If I like it, I either hit in or swipe right. So bring me to a chat box. So Arbor can chat with me. You can say hello. Hi, see, it's real-time stuff. So if I don't like, so I just leave the group. So I know, and the other thing is, let me show you really quick how you create one, right? If you don't find anything you like, you want to create one, so we know we will have some pizza later, so we can have pizza here and put the emoji here. Eat pizza and chat. So then you can put this food, and actually I have just grab an address. I know we're going to here later, so let me just copy, paste to here. Okay, so time like 9 p.m. and then anyone. So let's say 50 people. Okay, so you create. All right, I forgot to upload the image, so I need to upload this one. So I just download this right on the spot. So, okay, create this one. So this is all the food category that bring you to all this stuff. So here you go. So this is your events right here. So you can swipe in, and then this is your chat. If anybody, Arbor, you can join me right now. That's on the food, and so I say, hey, I'm the host. If anybody join in, and then say. If I quit my app, so you can still send me a message, and actually get a notification. So you will never miss anybody join your event. So my ask is, I have a ask. Open, if you have iOS device, take it out, and so what you need to do is really easy. You don't need to type anything. Just open your camera, like what I'm doing right now here. Okay. Hold on here, just hold right now, then you have this link. Click this link and put your, just sign up here. So right now we're doing beta testing. If you're interested, just sign up, and then I'll send you a link and you can download on your phone. That's it. And also, I'll stay here a little bit, and anybody interested in talking with me or other stuff, then just come say hi. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
So are you buying pizza at Dominic's now?
Huh?
Alrighty, what questions for these two? Great pitch. Yes.
So for the images, are you providing a library of images, or do people have to take a picture?
So you use your library, your own library. So whatever you took before, you can download from, let's say, their Yelp or Google, or either way. Just if you want to go coffee, you can just take, coffee, whatever. It doesn't have to be exact the place. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it a conscious choice not to own any social media information here to build this as a standalone versus integrating with a Facebook type thing?
So the only thing I'm thinking right now is we can integrate Facebook login. That's as far as we will do, and we will not build in the Facebook platform. Yeah. Maybe for security reason we can post some information from Facebook, and maybe you can check out Facebook, their Facebook, under your, for example, this is the last thing. If you want to have a quick link, and then you can hit this address directly, give you the address on the map, so you don't have to go anywhere. And yeah, so if you cannot do this, so yeah, so on the profile maybe you have a Facebook link. We'll link to your Facebook. Yeah.
Question right here.
I guess my question would be, it sort of reminds me of like a dating app in a way, obviously with the swiping, but
Yeah.
my question would be regarding events. If someone was maybe engaging in like inappropriate conversation, or they were just kind of spamming you a lot, like the opposite of what you would want from a potential new friend, do you have the capability maybe to remove them or permanently block them?
Yeah, you can always report at any time. So, and then I'll take some actions. Yeah.
How do you generate revenue?
No, we actually just launched beta last month. So
What's your plan for
what's my plan? So that's one my concern is the revenue model. You know, everything is hypothetical right now. So that's why I would like somebody having any kind of experience or similar, are interested in our product. I would like to talk to you. Maybe we can work together later to figure out how to do the revenue model stuff and business. Yeah.
Do you have a user acquisition strategy you thought about yet, or are you guys still thinking about that?
Yeah, that's just part of the business model as well. So far, I think younger generation are more, adapted to the new technology and newer stuff. So that's why we decided to launch on campus and maybe find some, right now I'm not very sure, what's exactly the strategy step by step. Yeah.
Right here?
Can you talk a little bit about Yushu and anyone else in your team that's working on this?
So for right now, just me and Arwa, and she's doing the marketing stuff, and I'm doing the programming stuff. Yeah.
Other questions?
Cool. So if you guys are interested, I look forward to talking to you guys. Thank you.
Excellent. So moving right along, next we have Inherit, and Lynn McCain is presenting. Inherit is a SaaS, software as a service company, providing decision support software designed to identify patients at increased risk for hereditary disease, enabling them to gain access to preventative care and reduce their risk. A fun fact about Lynn that I learned recently is that Lynn shows her dogs, which are Lakeland Terriers, at AKC dog shows. Not only that, but at last weekend's show, one of her dogs earned her championship. What was your dog's name? So Zoe won her championship last week.
Click the Zoom when you're on. Get the right cord?
Yeah.
Here we go. Good evening, I'm Lynn McCain. I am the Director of Operations at Inherit. Hi, Amanda. Inherit is a web-based software company that helps to identify patients who are at increased risk for hereditary cancers and other hereditary diseases. What is the big problem right now? 1 in 5 Americans have a family member that has been diagnosed with cancer that may be hereditary. And of these, less than 10% of them know that they are at increased risk for cancer, when if they knew, they could take preventative actions that could reduce the risk of cancer by as much as 96%. And patients who are identified after a cancer diagnosis can also reduce their risk, but 50% of them cannot do so because they have been identified. There are treatment opportunities available for cancer patients that can help them based on their specific mutation. What is the cause of this issue? The cause is that patients require a 3-generation family pedigree in order to determine whether or not they are at increased risk. Your provider doesn't have time in clinic to be able to take this complete family history. And if you're in clinic, do you know what every relative has had and when, at what age, the specific cancer? I don't, and most other patients don't either. Even if a provider is able to collect that family history, the guidelines keep changing as new discoveries are found, making it very difficult to keep up with it. As such, patients are not being identified, and 90% of patients go undetected. With Inherit, we have a solution to that problem. Patients complete their online personal and family health history from any web-enabled device at their convenience. That information is then sent through our proprietary algorithms and produces a report for both the physician and the patient. These reports provide clear color-coded results indicating whether or not they meet guidelines for referral and what next steps the patients should take and what the provider should do. In addition, there are summaries of the data the patient entered. These are just two of the examples. And a pedigree is produced so that you can see at a glance what the family history is and how the relatives are connected to one another, so you can follow and determine whether or not there is likely a hereditary component to this cancer. Our team is comprised of us. Of special note, I want to bring to attention is Dr. David Kieran. He is the CEO of Inherit. He has over 25 years of experience running and expanding Ward Medical Laboratories, and just retired from being the director of the clinical labs at the University of Michigan. Dr. Sophia Mariver, our chief scientific officer, is one of the premier genetic oncologists in the world. She sits on the board for the national guidelines committees that determine the guidelines for cancer treatment. What is our market strategy? First, we are going to use beta test sites and market to genetic counselors as well. Genetic counselors can double their billing by using Inherit because of the efficiencies it provides them. We have 3 beta test sites right now, Dexter Family Medicine, University Health Service, and the Breast and Ovarian Cancer Risk Evaluation Clinic. In addition, we're marketing directly to patients through cancer advocacy groups. These are highly motivated individuals that want to work with us. Forrest has invited us to engage with their population. Forrest is facing a risk of cancer empowered. What is our financial position? Our founders have contributed over $100,000 to get us up and going, and we need about $500,000 to carry us through the first 2 years. The US market for this product is in excess of $1 billion, and this product could easily go international at multi-billion-dollar levels. How can you help? You can provide us feedback on our pitch. That's one way. Second, we need referrals for some advisory board members who can work with us. We need introductions to additional beta test sites and leaders in oncology areas, and introductions to potential investors. Thank you.
Awesome. We have some questions for Lynn.
Is there any reimbursement from insurance for this?
For using the tool itself, not at this time, although it will make reimbursements more likely for people who use this tool to get testing reimbursed and genetic counseling reimbursed, because it will provide the insurance company with all the information that they need to make their coverage determination.
So there's a procedure code for that? Or?
No, there's not a procedure code for it, but it will help get testing and other services covered. That is not currently always covered.
Question right here in the front.
So I had 2 questions. One was exactly how is the family genetic history found? Is the individual doing that, or is that done with the genetic counseling?
The individual will enter their personal and family health history. They're doing it from home. They can call up their relatives and say, what did Aunt Sue have? And what did Grandpa die of? And so forth, and collect that information at their convenience. Anytime that they log back in, it'll take you right back to the spot that you stopped.
Okay. And then the second question was, what would be the individual's cost to use this program?
Right now, we are considering a $20 cost, which is less than a copay to a physician for individuals. And then if a unique feature of our tool is that every year, on the anniversary of their last update that they've done on the tool, they will receive a reminder to update. And all of their information will be rerun through the algorithms in case there have been any new findings or if we've added any new diseases to the tool. So they will always be reviewed against the most current data available.
It seems that you're relying on the individual to input all of that information. The likelihood of just bad data entry is very high and inconsistent. How do you control against that to make sure that the actual data you're basing all your models on is any good?
Well, for any of the medical items, it's all drop-down menus, so that we don't have to worry about people typing in lymphoma with LI instead of LY and that type of thing. So it's limited actual typing. There's a lot of drop-down menus to select from. So that helps to control a bit on that. As far as what information the patient actually inputs, we can't control that any more than the doctor can control what the patient provides. We provide a higher likelihood that it'll be more accurate because patients have an opportunity to stop, to think about it when they're not in a stressful situation and contact relatives to get more information. We are not telling them that they should be tested. We're saying you meet guidelines for referral to talk to a genetic counselor. The counselor can then follow up on the information they entered to make sure that that they actually are at increased risk. And we do have counselors available to talk to them if they don't know where to go.
So it sounds like you're targeting people that are genuinely healthy that should, that don't know that they should be talking to a genetic counselor and getting testing. How are you planning on acquiring those users if they aren't presenting symptoms, if they aren't otherwise worried about their health?
Two ways. One, through the doctor's office. We are working with, like I said, Dexter Family Medicine and University Health Service now, and they will ask their patients to complete this and provide them with the link to our tool. Second is working with patient advocacy groups. These are motivated individuals who have family members that have cancer, and a lot of them have said that this would be extremely valuable for them to have to be able to pass on to their children to keep that family record viable. And with 1 in 5 Americans having a personal family history of cancer, just of the top 5 cancers, this is something that is pretty widespread in the population.
Go ahead, Red, and then Red.
Not the field I know very well, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the initial concept behind 23andMe and sort of the FDA and other problems they ran into, sort of giving advice without sort of, I guess, enough scientific basis. I know you're maybe not but do you have any issues with the FDA and what you're sort of...
We've already approached the FDA and had our product reviewed, and we are not under FDA regulation because we're not providing medical care. We're providing a recommendation for a referral to medical care. So there's a distinction between that as far as the FDA is concerned. And we're different than 23andMe in that 23andMe is direct-to-consumer testing without any foundation for a purpose or a reason to test.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for the great questions, everybody. Okay, our next pitch was scheduled to be TinkerTech. Is Michael here from TinkerTech? Excellent. Okay. While you're getting set up, someone did it. Can we borrow your?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
So this is Michael Plouffe from TinkerTech, and TinkerTech is an electronics makerspace, component store, and education center with a mission to increase diversity in technology, and they're located here in Ypsilanti, right?
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, so as you said, I am Michael Plouffe. I own TinkerTech. So TinkerTech is all those things that you just mentioned. It is a makerspace, a hobby shop, and STEAM education center in downtown Ypsilanti. So we just opened about 2.5 months ago, and even though we're trying to solve a bunch of different things, so filling a gap left by Radio Shack and kind of filling an electronics niche in the makerspace world, the thing that I want to talk about today is the lack of diversity and inclusion in technology and what we want to do about it. So our makerspace has a lot of equipment that's oriented specifically for electronics. So we've got soldering stations, microscopes for doing fine SMD work, 3D printer, laser cutter, things like that you would typically find. And the store, we've got all sorts of what I like to say, a curated selection of things that I wish had been present in Radio Shack back in the day. But this is kind of the meat of what I want to talk about. So this is a very busy graphic that's basically just showing that we have severe underrepresentation in the Black community, 60% underrepresentation in major tech companies, Latino community, 50% underrepresentation, and among women, 30% underrepresentation. So this is pretty abysmal. Also, women in computer sciences wasn't always a problem. In 1985, almost 40% of computer science students were women, and it started dropping off precipitously in 1985. And interestingly enough, it coincided with the introduction of the first mass-produced personal computers. And what had happened there was the marketing that was around the Apple personal computer and others of its ilk were directed solely at boys. And I had a little clip queued up that I wasn't able to get working in my presentation here, but it kind of illustrates just how gendered these marketing campaigns were. And from that time forward, boys were the ones who would have computers in their bedrooms and get to computer science classes and just be 4 or 5 years ahead. But that sort of messaging has also stuck with us throughout the years and has affected the way that teachers talk with students and affected the way that corporate culture is developed in technology companies that can just actively dissuade female applicants. And as far as under-inclusion of Blacks and Latinos, we have a much higher likelihood of students growing up in schools with segregated populations and fewer resources, less funding, and fewer opportunities for hands-on interaction with technology. So that's kind of a lot to deal with head-on. So what we want to do at TinkerTech is kind of enact the Think Global, Act Local approach. So we have a high visibility location in downtown Ypsilanti, and the reason we picked that is a lot of makerspaces are kind of on the edge of town, and we want to be right in the middle of everything and become a community fixture and start developing relationships to kind of counteract a lot of those social messages that are out there. Because just saying that we're here, but you have to go find us, is really putting a lot on somebody to become involved. We want to partner with community organizations and have started to do that with our local libraries, schools, and community activity centers. And also focusing on application-based learning. So you don't necessarily need a degree to get involved in technology and start doing electronics, start doing programming. So ask me how I know. So degrees I do have, BS in mechanical engineering, master's in biomedical engineering, things I've not been employed to do, biomedical engineering. Degrees I do not have, computer science or electronics, and things that I've been employed to do, programming and designing electronics. So having that goal that motivates that learning really helps people stick with it and kind of keeps them engaged. And honestly, allows them to find employment without necessarily having to get that degree. So we've only been open about 2.5 months, but just a couple of instances of ways that this relationship-based interaction has paid off so far. So this is Samir. He came in, he wanted to fix a fan and a broken bass guitar. By the time he left, he wanted to start making his own electronic musical instruments. This is James. He came in and heard that he could learn about soldering. Now he wants to trick out his wheelchair with a sound responsive LED system. This is Deja, actually a former student of mine from years ago. She came in and told me that she had just gotten a new job at a battery manufacturer, and now she wants to learn how to solder to get a promotion. These are some kids who were doing an enrichment program in partnership with one of our local community centers in Ypsi. And Jamira now wants a laser cutter in her home, and Elijah wants to build a home automation system. So how can you get involved in this? So you can become a customer, you can become a Makerspace member, you can actually purchase consulting services from us, I still do that as well. You can contribute your time as a mentor during one of our upcoming events, like we actually have a hackathon that's happening this Saturday. You can come in and teach a workshop. You can volunteer, help us keep the space open longer hours. As a patron, you can support through funding scholarships for kids who may not be able to afford to purchase services directly, or families who may not be able to purchase services. You can sponsor our community collaborations, again with funding, and then just introduce us to whoever you think needs to know about this sort of activity. So you can go to tinkertech.io and learn more, or you can contact me directly at michael@tinkertech.io.
Questions for Michael? Right over here.
I see a lot of hardware options up here, but I know you said you're a hackathon man. Do you have software engineering programs for kids as well?
So what I'd actually like to look for is more people who are interested in teaching those software workshops. So I would be able to offer those. My time is just stretched so thin that I need to start farming that out. But I have had a lot of people ask me for classes in Intro to Python, Intro to like Stata, things like that for more advanced things. But it definitely is a goal to start incorporating more programming activities.
Up here, third row.
I teach programming for girls, and I'm looking for space.
I've been looking for
STEM Girl Academy, so we teach middle school girls.
Awesome, let's talk.
Okay.
Do you have any relationships or work going with Eastern Michigan University? You're right near there.
On and off. I have been trying to get in touch with some people in the College of Technology. Apparently there has been a big scandal and the dean has resigned recently, and so there's kind of a kerfuffle there. So I've been trying to get back in touch with them.
What sparked your interest in inclusion and diversity?
I was actually, I have been an engineer for most of the last 10 years, but I took a little career detour at one point and thought I was going to become a high school physics teacher. So I actually did my student teaching at Ypsi High, and like 36 ninth graders in one class just like burned me out. But I had a couple of kids who were doing an independent study, and these kids would just fall asleep on their desks in my regular class, and just the two of them and I working on programming and electronics. They were just so engaged. Like one guy was on the basketball team, and he would go to his gym class and get passes so he could skip and stay and do more programming. And I'm like, oh, Miles, it's not you, it's not me, it's this environment. We need to like put it in a new context and like figure out how we can do more hands-on things in a smaller environment. And I think just looking around at the places where I've worked, and like everybody basically looks like me, and like, well, Miles could be a part of that, but he's not for all these other sort of extraneous factors.
Other questions?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
For the current work that you're doing, how are you accessing the students? Is it your ties to the high school you worked at, or do you have?
Yeah. So right now we've got sort of a fledgling relationship with the Ypsilanti school. So they have a couple of technology programs with kids that are already there. And then we just did an enrichment collaboration with the Park Ridge Community Center, which serves mainly families of color on the south side of Ypsilanti. And so through their funding sources, we were able to bring kids in through that kind of collaboration. But we are looking to see if there are other organizations that we can partner with as well.
Are you looking to access students outside of the Ypsi area, or primarily are you focused?
I'd be happy to have kids come from wherever. I think just coming from further outside of Ypsi, transportation starts to become a problem, but if there's a way to make it happen, I'd be happy to explore that.
I have a question about revenue. So in terms of kind of how you support it, is it mainly through just the sales of the electronic components that you're able to kind of support it, or what's your?
So it's kind of a mixture of everything. So we've got revenue through the retail side, makerspace memberships, workshops that are open to the public, camps that we're running that are open to the public, and then also running the consulting on the side. And honestly, the consulting actually is like a large piece of the revenue at the moment, but we're still kind of generating that initial interest in the physical space. So I'm hoping that it will kind of shift more into the education side of things. One of the things that I like to look at is possible grant collaboration opportunities. So we're structured as a for-profit, but I I do have somebody who's on staff this summer whose job actually is to work with partner organizations, help them find grant funding, to let them be the fiduciary, and then do a fee-for-service sort of exchange.
Cool. Excellent. Any last questions? Time for one more? Alrighty, thank you. And our last pitch of the night is Sober Grid, and Bo Mann is the CEO of Sober Grid. Sober Grid is a social network with lay and professional peer support that helps people with substance abuse disorder.
Hi, thank you for having us, David. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. My name is Bo Mann. I am one of the founders and the CEO of Sober Grid. We are a digital health application. As David described it, we started as a social network and have grown through there. And in today's presentation, I'll talk to you about that. If you haven't been impacted directly by addiction, if you look to your right or to your left, someone has, because 1 out of 3 people have been impacted by addiction in some form. Our goal is to use technology to innovate in the addiction space. So let's see. Okay.
Try hitting full screen.
Okay, great. So there's more Americans killed by addiction than guns and cars combined. Last year, we lost more Americans to overdose than the number of Americans we lost during the entire Vietnam War. So we're really having an epidemic, which has been fueled in part by the opioid crisis. So our application is a social network that provides peer support for people that want to abstain from all chemical dependencies. So whether that be alcohol, opioids, or any of the other substances. We took a look to see who's bearing the brunt of the cost, and it's the public and private payers. By payers, I mean the health insurance companies or CMS, Medicare, or Medicaid. Employers also bear $81 billion in cost. If we could reduce this cost by 1%, we would yield $2 billion in savings for payers alone. The person with addiction will have an additional $31,000 a year in healthcare cost. Their cost of healthcare is 2 to 3 times higher for people with chronic conditions such as addiction. So the peer support has been shown to be effective. It's been used in some traditional peer support models such as Alcoholics Anonymous or Smart Recovery and other groups like that. And so our platform connects people so they can get peer support from one another 24 hours a day without any barriers. You could be in Alaska, or you could be in New York City, and you could open it up at 2 a.m. and get support from someone. We partnered with researchers at the University of Pennsylvania Perelman School of Medicine to work on using artificial intelligence so that we could predict if someone was at higher risk of relapse. And to date, we've raised $2.3 million in private funding, but we've also had several $100,000 in funding from the NIH and the NSF to work on our predictive analytics project. With at the beginning of this year, we were able to announce that with the help of with our team, which includes our chief data scientist, Lon Sherritt, who was with Harvard Medical School and Boston Children's Hospital for the last 18 years, and with the machine learning and data scientists from UPenn Perman School of Medicine, we were able to show that we have predictive capabilities so that we could predict if someone was at risk of relapse. Now our goal is to be able to intervene, so to show them digital interventions that will help them. So maybe that might be a mindfulness-based module, or connecting them with a peer support person in the app, or a certified peer coach as well. So this shows, I spoke about the digital intervention, telehealth interventions. We recently, last month, we acquired a certified peer coaching company based out of Ohio that has a group of certified coaches that help people come up with recovery plans and set goals and kind of achieve sobriety. So they're a certified peer coach. Let's see. So we've grown, we're fairly popular. We have over 12,000 messages a day sent inside the app. We're the largest mobile community of people with substance abuse disorder. So here's an example of one of the telehealth interventions. So if we see that someone's at need, we would connect them with one of the peer recovery coaches. And so this is Mike Jones, a certified peer support, and we would connect them now. If an individual is at the highest level of risk, then we would help connect them with an inpatient treatment provider so that they could go into rehab. So for every dollar spent on substance abuse treatment, it saves $4 in healthcare cost. So it behooves the health insurance companies to spend money on providing services to this population. Why is now the time to strike? 85% of all humans have a smartphone. It's a national emergency. The federal government has declared that. Now with expanded care through the ACA and with the advent of AI and machine learning. We've been featured in the New York Times, the Boston Globe, the Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, Forbes magazine, and many TV and radio and publications across the country. Here, there's some people that are approaching it in different ways. This is a competitive analysis that we have. As I said, we received funding from the NIH for $147,000 in phase 1 to show validity. We have applied to phase 2, and in September we anticipate being awarded phase 2, which would be $1 million, and that would be non-dilutive to me or any other shareholders. We also completed phase 1 for the National Science Foundation, where we were awarded $225,000, and we anticipate at the end of the year winning phase 2, which would be for an additional $750,000 in non-dilutive funding. This is the total addressable market is 9 to 19 billion.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So we have people with firsthand experience in this space, and this is myself. I'm Bo Mann. I'm a seasoned entrepreneur. Chris Page, our chief operating officer and co-founder, was previously with J&J. As I mentioned earlier, our chief data scientist was there, and we have a strong board of advisors, we're based in Boston, but I'm here in Michigan. Our former governor of Massachusetts, leading addiction researchers, and people that have been leaders in pioneering digital health. So.
Excellent.
So one thing I forgot to mention, if I'll just mention that quickly, is that we surveyed our member base to ask how many of them would be interested in paying for peer support coaching, a premium, and 33% indicated that they would be interested in having a peer recovery coach. The cost of that would be unlimited number of sessions for $99 a month. So although 33% indicated that they would be interested in it, if we only have 1% sign up, that would be $100,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. So we have a strong monetization component for that. So.
Excellent. Yeah. Questions for Bo?
So first of all, I think this is a really great movement. I think having that access is like very spectacular. I did see, and just correct me if I'm not an expert in this space, but I saw at Tech Track there was another company called Work at Health that seems to be doing maybe the exact same thing. So I don't know if you're familiar with them, but if you are, how would you like highlight how you guys would be different than them?
Yeah, so Work at Health is, I think they're based in Michigan, I think. But I think that they're, I can't recall, I'm familiar with their business, but I can't recall exactly what their business model is. I think it's dealing with actual clinics, like I think they're tied to a clinic, but I'm not sure their business model, but it's not, it's a much different business model than ours. It's not, it wasn't founded on the premise of peer support and having peer support coaches and using AI. To my knowledge, I think it had a very different business model.
Other questions in the back? Yes.
Do you have a strategy to acquire a lot of users, especially on your platform, especially if the cost of user acquisition is really increasing?
Yeah, so we've been able to spend the last few years looking at what our user acquisition cost would be because it's so important, and we've narrowed it down to $2, $2.80. So we saw which channels were most effective, and not only most cost effective, but which ones were scalable, so we could scale that up. And at $2 a person, you don't have to convert a lot if it's $99 a month with in order to have a profitable user acquisition versus lifetime value.
Over here.
Yeah, what's your criteria for success? And have you been able to kind of take a page like somebody that was an addict and then kind of follow them throughout? I know you're young, but what's the criteria for that to kind of prove that 1 in 4 ratio of dollar spent?
Yeah. So the first criteria of success. So when I started this, it was to provide, to help people, and it was just a friend and I that put in $50,000 each, and so we're a very mission-driven company. So our first metric of success is whether or not we've helped people. And we help people on a daily basis. People will write in, thank God for this app, it helped save my life. I've communicated with people that, one guy, which rings a bell in California, and he was struggling with heroin, and he heard about our app, he got on it, and now he has 2 years where he's been able to abstain from these substances. So that's our first criteria to define success for me and our co-founders, because many of us have been impacted by this, and that's really important to us. I think, looking at it from a business perspective, that, that criteria is going to be being able to bring in revenue. I mean, you have so many different metrics to define success here. Can you keep people engaged? Can you grow? Can you scale? But bringing in revenue, and I think that being able to demonstrate that we can monetize this through the peer coaching is going to be the next business level of success.
I guess just to follow up, are you able to also track how many people have been off the substances by using the app?
Yes, so we are, and we're going to be conducting a randomized control trial with the help of UPenn Perelman School of Medicine through our NIH funding, and that will demonstrate the efficacy of the application. Yeah.
Thank you. I also have the same question. What percentage of the paid users were able to get out of addiction?
So we don't have the paid users right now. We will once we have the coaching. So I can't answer the question because we don't have the paid yet, but peer recovery coaching itself, and then peer support, both peer support from lay peer support and certified peer support from a coach have demonstrated strong efficacy in most, if not all, of the studies. So there should be strong efficacy there.
All right, that's all the time we have. So thanks to all the presenters for tonight. Great work, everyone. Thanks for all the great questions. Hopefully people can connect afterwards and ask a few more questions and learn a little bit more. So now's the time for community announcements. So if you have a meetup, you want to pitch or a position you're hiring for, you're looking for a collaborator or a new announcement, you can go ahead and line up right over here, and then the first person can step it up and start making their announcement as soon as they're ready. And now please keep these to about 1 minute to 2 minutes for your announcements.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina. I'm here on behalf of the American Cancer Society, and they're going to start some community networking events. It's not fundraising per se, it's just proving that they can be connectors in the community to make awareness of their other events. It's going to be a morning networking, coffee on tap is what they're calling, and it's Tuesday, July 31st at 8 a.m. and it's at the Grotto, downtown Ann Arbor. This is a great way to connect with people, to become aware of how the American Cancer Society operates in the community, but also to provide support in a way that maybe as an entrepreneur myself, I can't necessarily donate, but I can, spend time and make connections for them or volunteer time. So, American Cancer Society, Tuesday, July 31st at 8 a.m. Have a coffee at the Grotto.
Hi, my name is Maisha Williamson. I understand I identified with the presentation before about going to school, not working what you're studying for. So I am the founder of STEM Girl Academy. I teach girls how to code, and I make a living building websites and apps right now. I studied mechanical engineering here about 10 years ago, so I don't do that. But my ask is, I just moved back to Ann Arbor. I don't know the landscape very well anymore. I am looking for places to hold my classes, places to partner, and possibly places to sponsor different classes. So I work with middle school girls, that's our main focus, but the moms have been asking for classes. So what I did in Chicago and in Detroit, where I have pop-up classes for the mom called Coding and Cocktails. So anybody wants to sponsor those events, please let me know. My name is Maisha Williamson with STEM Girl Academy, and I'll be around. So.
Hi all, my name is Prashant. Just a short pitch. I'm looking for a technical co-founder for a startup called Super Mechanic. It's an on-demand service for car repair, auto repair. So instead of you going to the mechanic comes to you. So if anyone's interested, let me know. I'll write my name down, sorry. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Steven. I run the graphic and web design agency, Hexagon Creative, and we work with mid to large size startups, and we're based right in downtown Detroit and have a office in Chicago, and I'm the executive creative director and owner. If anyone has a question about their branding or their website or needs that service, please come to me. I'll be at the pizza place tonight. Yeah.
Hey everyone now. Hi everyone, my name is Scott Gosey. I got a couple events, I'm gonna go fast. One is, if you like what you saw, but you don't know how to code and you want to learn how to code, tomorrow we're putting on an event called Ann Arbor Coffee House Coders. It's on Meetup, and we'll put that, all the things I mentioned in the description of the A2NewTech comments, so look for the links there. So if you wanna learn how to code, tomorrow, Ann Arbor Coffee House Coders. If you're looking for startup space, if you're looking for co-working space, the Tech Brewery is the place for you. Founded by Doug Song, we're up on Jones Drive with plenty of parking, so set up your office there. And then finally, I'm friends with Steve Schwartz of Alpha Django. If you're looking to build a startup and you want to work with a consultancy that has a track record of building successful startups that have shipped, made money, raised millions, gotten acquired, check out Alpha Django. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Greg Cupel. I'm kind of doing a market viability for online training and education regarding business software test automation. I'm looking to serve basically manual testers who are trying to transition to a more technical role in the software development lifecycle, recent graduates and developers who are new to acceptance test automation. My ask right now, basically for guinea pigs for some classes, proof of concept, etc. Also in the case, applications to handle. So if you've got an application you'd like to test, give me a yell. You can reach me through LinkedIn. Again, Greg Cupel at LinkedIn. Thank you.
Hi, Michael again. As I alluded to earlier, we're having a hackathon at TinkerTech this Saturday. It's a less traditional hackathon in that it's a little more free form and also more cross-disciplinary. So instead of just being software, we'll be building software, electronics, art, design, music, and I'm hoping to get a lot of people from disparate backgrounds on collaborative teams. And starts at 9 in the morning, runs till 11 at night, and hopefully we'll make a bunch of cool stuff. I'll put the website up on the whiteboard, and you can go there and find out more.
Hi, I'm Dan Thomas. I'm another former mechanical engineer. I worked as a mechanical engineer in corporate America for about 9 or 10 years. I got sick of it, taught myself how to develop last year. Now I'm a fully independent developer. I work mostly in Python. I do some stuff in R. I focus on getting like large isolated sets of data, trying to tell a story out of it and analyze that data too. So I'm always looking to talk to potential clients. I gotta say thank you to Scott Gosey. He was there at the beginning. One of my first projects was being his sidekick and building a scraper. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Vilmetti. I organize lunch on Thursdays. Several people in the room I recognize can help me decide where lunch is on Thursday because I'm not quite sure where it's going to be. But the following week it'll be at Morgan and York. The name of the group is A2B3, which once upon a time was the Ann Arbor Bibimbap group because we used to eat Korean food all the time. We still do eat Korean food sometimes, but we're sort of rotating from restaurant to restaurant. The group has a mailing list to go with it, but primarily it's about organizing and socializing with people at lunchtime. Once upon a time, the group had 35 people show up for lunch once at the bottom of the recession. The group membership is sort of counter-cyclical with the economy. Right now, we've done a really good job at attracting people who are retired, who know way more about what they used to do than I know about what they do now. And so every Thursday, the name of the group is again A2B3. It's a meetup right now. So if you search meetup for A2B3, you'll find it. If you search the internet for A2B3, you'll find about 12 years worth of history of this organization, and you're invited. Please don't show up all at once.
Hi, my name is Shake. You can remember that as Milkshake. I moved to Detroit about 7 months ago. I work in the self-driving car world. As a way to make some friends and meet other people working on that type of tech, I started a dinner party series in Ann Arbor and Detroit. The second one is happening tomorrow night. It's a group of about 10 to 15 people in various aspects of the self-driving car, transportation, mobility world. It'll be a recurring series for the next few months at least. If you're interested in joining one of these or giving a presentation on some cool aspect of the tech that you're working on, we'd love to have you there. I'll leave my contact information here, and I'll see you at pizza.
Excellent. For that A2B3 group, I think you probably shouldn't have moved on from bibimbap because that is like the best Korean food out there, the best food. So make sure to check that out. Anyone else Korean food fans in here? Yeah, I hope so. Really, like, Korean food is amazing. So that wraps up our community announcements. Just a few things before we finish up and head to Dominic's tonight. Our next A2NewTech is Tuesday, August 21st. So mark your calendars, write it down, make sure to come. We're going to have companies from the Desai Accelerator cohort pitching, so 5 of those. And so make sure to come back and listen to them. They've been working hard on their companies over the summer. We're going to have great things to present next month. We're all filled up for August because of that, but if you know someone or you want to pitch in September, get in touch with us at organizers@a2newtech.org. We'll be here in this room for next month, which is South Hall room 1225. And again, find us on madeina2.com/Slack or madeina2.com just for more information in the next month. And tonight we are going to Dominic's for the networking time afterwards. It's ages 21 plus. Make sure you bring your ID with you. I'll check it at the door. And it's at 812 Monroe Street, which is right next door. So you can follow the people there. We'll have some pizza, time to meet other people. So hope you make it out. Thanks, everybody.